May the fourth be with you, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And we're here to break down Kenobi, a Star Wars fan film. Alright, Dragon, enough with... We're going to do the whole podcast like this.
Well, hello there.
Alright. Oh boy, Dragon, we're goofy already.
Yeah,
So,
we're
Dragon,
sirs. We can't
anyways,
get away with it.
in all seriousness, welcome to our annual Star Wars celebration, of course, on the official Star Wars holiday. And Dragon, it's kind of funny. I feel like the Star Wars fan base has kind of like evened itself out, right? Like everyone liked Force Awakens. The Last Jedi was very divisive, as you know. I land on the very positive side of things with The Last Jedi, but that's a whole different conversation. And then I think with Rise of Skywalker, even the people that liked it, which I am kind of in that camp, because I do like some aspects of it. You know, I like the Kylo Ren stuff. I like the C-3PO stuff. Even the people that liked Rise of Skywalker, though, they admit the movie is kind of a piping hot mess, as Tony Stark would say. And so I feel like the Star Wars fan base now, with Clone Wars, with Mandalorian, with Galaxy's Edge even, you know, Rise of the Resistance, we're back on even playing fields again, Dragon. It's kind of refreshing. What do you think?
I'd pretty much concur with that. Yeah, I think things have evened out for the better. I think by the time we get like a Mandalorian season 2, we'll be back on the upswing. I'd imagine.
So with that in mind, Dragon, in 2018, the year that we reviewed Solo, A Star Wars Story, we also reviewed a little fan film by a man known as Jamie Costa, who produced, I believe he wrote and he starred in Solo, A Smuggler's Trade. Dragon, you want to give a little background on this?
Yeah, sure. Well, let me Well, should I start with the credits on this, then kind of lump into the origin of this potentially, or what?
I don't know. You're the background guy. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, fine. So,
Sorry.
So Kenobi, a Star Wars fan film, like kind of say we're here talking about today. This is directed by Jason Satterland, who did his own Star Wars fan film, The Force and the Fury. Not nothing like kind of like it's not exactly like this or like the Han Solo fan film. It's a little bit more kind of like a little more like more obscure Jedi type stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written by kind of like all three of them here. We had Rob Harmon, Satterland, and the star Jamie Costa. So Jamie Costa, of course, being the big standout of the bunch there, and of course, kind of our title character playing Kenobi. So Jamie Costa, renowned impressionist, an actor. Of course, he's from the Star Wars, the Smuggler's Trade, Star Wars fan film, more accurately. Basically, Jamie Costa, man of many faces. I mean, he has a mean, he has a mean Robin Williams impression as well as a mean Harrison Ford. Probably the best within his arsenal. I mean, the man is just seamless. And the man looks pretty much like the young Robin Williams. If they're ever doing a biopic on Robin Williams, they must get this man. They must.
Oh God.
Anywho, they're crazy if they don't. My point is, Jamie Costa whacked us off with this little fan film we kind of came across, Smuggler's Trade, which blew us away. And essentially, I mean, depending on where you come down the Solo Star Wars story, but all whether you want to kind of add like kind of the add to the canon, this thing kind of fits like a glove. It's I believe it's the older, a little older Han Solo in that regards. Like right still before Luke, but after after the end of Solo, if you want to fit it in there. Point being, we're in kind of the we're in kind of like the 3.9 space, if you will, of Star Wars with that Han Solo fan film, and it fit like a glove. It was amazing. Had Doug Jones in it, man. I love Doug Jones.
I know, right? That's the most. I mean, that's the thing about these fan films, Dragon. I like the fact that they wear the fan film label on their sleeve proudly. But that being said, I mean, they almost do feel like in canon stuff, especially with the presence of people like Doug Jones in it.
I mean, these Jamie Costa fan films in particular, they feel absolutely like you just can drop them in there and they feel just like, again, I would accept this as the continuity, man. I mean, basically Solo, hopefully there's going to be more of that Solo fan films, because they had to leave a little open-ended as if they were to do another one, because they were separated from the Millennium Falcon at the end of that thing. Again, you don't need to know another one because you know he gets it back. But if you wanted to see the adventure of getting it back, well, there's story to tell.
Yeah.
Anywho, so the point being, so there's no confusion. From what I can find, Jamie Costa is the main link between the two of these things. I imagine Jamie Costa maybe a little bit in the post-production and so on and so forth, but again, different crew working on that as well. And Jamie Costa a little bit more invested in the writing here, and I imagine a lot of that comes from the fact of, again, along with the Harrison Ford and the Robin Williams kind of impressions at the ready, he also does a mean Obi-Wan, specifically the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, which of course, there's been a lot of traction. Well, there's been a lot of traction with Obi-Wan, given the all the hype and all the Star Wars things we want to see. I think you and I can absolutely speak to this. Of all the Star Wars things we want to see Obi-Wan get a series and/or a movie. And good news for us, he's getting a series on Disney Plus. What do you know? Small world, right?
Yeah, and actually, it was just recently announced that the problems they were having with the Obi-Wan series have been resolved.
Ah, it's even better.
So they're back on track with it.
I mean, for years, you and I have been saying, like, let's see kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi Western, like, anthology film, as in we just see Obi-Wan just kind of like dealing with the Hutts. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Shane of it all. It's just
oh my God! Please just have the Hutts in it. That's all I ask.
That's what I'm saying. Basically, it's kind of the Godfather meets a Western. That's pretty much what we're looking for here. Just Obi-Wan trying to keep a low profile, but he has to help the folks of Tatooine against kind of a gangster, that local gangster and/or a rabble rouser of Tatooine. That is Jabba the Hutt, or the Hutt family, crime family, as it were.
You're speaking my language, Dragon. You're speaking my language.
I mean, that's always been the pitch, and now they've officially announced a Disney Plus series, which kind of elates our hopes even more. And while that announcement comes out, we get something like this. I think we got this first before that series was officially announced. Ewan McGregor always said he wanted to come back. People always like spot him at the Star Wars premieres, like, "Hey, Ewan, are you coming back? Are you doing it now?" And well, finally, he is. So the point being, this kind of gives us a little bit of a baseline and kind of like gives us a little kind of a point of comparison for what that Kenobi series might look like, and hopefully it'll measure up to this. All right.
All right. So one thing I do want to mention, Dragon, about this one before we dive into it is Jamie Costa in Kenobi is absolutely great. He does, like you said, he does do a mean Ewan McGregor, hello there type thing. That's great. It's all wonderful. I love the Kenobi stuff in this. But honestly, what I really appreciate about this fan film in particular, Dragon, is the Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru stuff. Because I honestly think that out of all the stuff in the prequel trilogy that Lucas could have expanded on, I really, like, I've seen pitches, like the whole, like, what if, there's a famous YouTube series called, what if the prequels were good? I don't know if you've seen those videos or not. And they go into, like, what if Owen Mars was, like, a friend of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like, what if they actually had a history? And Dragon, man, that's the kind of thing that I really want to see. And, I don't know, for some reason, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, like, they're always they've always felt like, open canvases to paint on, you know what I mean, in terms of the types of stories you could tell with them, and protecting young Luke and staying incognito. And honestly, Dragon, this fan film just absolutely whet my appetite for that. It totally scratched that itch.
Well, I hear you on that. Believe me, the next fan film we're going to get to, unless anything remarkable like the kind of the Jamie Costa series of Star Wars fan films drops yet again, will be something that heavily involves Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Trust me.
Nice. Do you agree about Do you agree about kind of the blank slate that the characters represent? Like, you could do a lot of things with them.
No, absolutely, because again, they have a very poignant death in A New Hope, and the only way you really kind of like, the way we like to do things, especially in kind of prequels done right, is take it like, I'll be like an Albuquerque verse, like we have with Better Call Saul. The only way you really appreciate the death of a character is if you kind of invest in them and kind of learn about them retroactively when done right. And I think absolutely is a blank canvas quality, and again, they while they were really kind of dropped in kind of one of the not so great of the prequel films, in the second one, there is still like a lot of unknown things about them, and of course we have like the really nice note we hit with Uncle Owen and Beru at the very end of things, where Baby Luke ends up, and again we really begin to expand upon that here. So I absolutely agree. There's untapped potential with Owen and Beru, certainly.
Cool, cool. Alrighty, so to it, Dragon, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Where we at?
Of course, text on the screen looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so of course, where we are at, Dragon, we're on Tatooine.
As we should be with kind of Kenobi right after the Revenge of the Sith. We should be on Tatooine, which is perfect. So this is, I estimate, a few years after Revenge of the Sith, given how old the kid is, right?
I would say 3 to 5 years after
Yeah.
Sith, yeah, something like that.
I mean, maybe 4 at the most. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I think it's kind of hard to estimate. Though I think the kid's no older than 5. I cautiously estimate like 3 to 4 years at least. The point being, we're like, out of the 20 years, we've kind of shaved off a little bit of the 20-year wait between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So we're in my favorite aspect of Star Wars that we rarely see. I love the 3.5 era of Star Wars. That's the Star Wars I really want to live in. I love seeing the change between the Empire and its beginnings, that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Obi-Wan, presumably, at least my read on here is that Obi-Wan is dealing with hermit life, and the purpose now that he's now that all the Jedi have fallen, now that he's like, now that the Jedi have fallen, he's essentially one of the last ones as far as he knows. I mean, I'm pretty sure he knows that Yoda's taken care of. At least I think he does, if I recall correctly. So, oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
Well, yeah. At the end of Sith, they established that. Yeah.
Anyway, the point being that still he's kind of pondering what his purpose is. He really blames himself, given that he knows who kind of the new kind of head honcho of the movement of the Empire is right now. He feels like he feels really guilty about that, and he feels he's kind of not only a fallen Jedi but a failed Jedi. He kind of failed to do what Qui-Gon kind of set out for him to do, train the boy, and he feels that he failed in that kind of his great life's quest. So I just love. So I love he's just kind of dealing with all this, and my read on it too is that he's having trouble connecting with Qui-Gon Jinn, through the Force, like we kind of implied he would learn to do at the end of Sith.
Mm.
Because remember we got a tease at like Qui-Gon Jinn's like a proto Force.
Yeah, totally. And I like that he's struggling with it, Dragon. I like that it's not just like an instant like talk to the dead cheat code for him. It is a struggle.
And I love that it's like, think about this. Fundamentally, Obi-Wan is like the classic master. That's kind of like the most, again, as great as McGregor is. Don't get me wrong, McGregor's great, and I can't wait to see more of him. When you think Obi-Wan, though, you're thinking of Sir Alec Guinness, man, and what he brought to that role. And you're thinking of like the consummate mentor. I'm seeing Luke in Last Jedi. I'm thinking Obi-Wan. Like, oh God, he became his master. I think that's beautiful. And what's so great about that is that now Obi-Wan, poor Obi-Wan, his whole story throughout the prequels and everything's been he's the guy the Padawan who lost his master, who died tragically in front of him, and now he kind of realizes he may have a chance to somehow reconnect with him, and he just can't because he's lost a little bit of faith in the Force, man. He's just having trouble seeing where he is in the universe. He's still the student without a master after all these years.
Yeah. Well said. All right. First of all, Dragon, I want to also just say the locations here are just amazing, honestly.
They are. I mean, I imagine they're. I would assume they might actually be in Tunisia, given how perfect this looks. I
mean, it would be an undertaking to go there, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, so basically the only difference in this from the movie is that it's the lighting, that's the only difference I could assume there. Bear in mind, they might not have like Hollywood lighting inside of Obi-Wan's place here, because that's why Obi-Wan's kind of dwelling is lit by candle and everything, because it just just be really dark in there. Light wouldn't reach in the place, so I assume it's just it can't go to the exact same locations. It might not be Tunisia, but it looks darn close and it looks pretty cinematic, and I'm impressed.
All right. So we get a conversation between Owen and Kenobi, and man, this is what I'm talking about, Dragon. I love this tension between Owen and Kenobi, man.
Yeah, so Owen, is asking, how long can you keep this up? Like how long do you think you can keep this up? I appreciate that you're watching over the boy, but you're more of a threat than anything right now. Essentially, is what he's saying to Ben here.
Mm.
Essentially, what we're saying is, the Jedi are going to attract attention because, again, fitting into kind of our 3.5 ish, I guess more like 3.1, given it's really close to when Sith ended. It's like the whole, like everyone with the whole Rogue One, they're all saying Rogue One's like as 3.9 as it gets, and this is like as 3.1 as it gets, I guess. And either way, semantics. My point is, I imagine the Jedi, like the Empire right now, they're trying to snuff out any last Jedi that they happen to find. Because I'm sure they're smart enough to assume there are a few stragglers. Again, like the Ahsokas of the bunch, there are a few stragglers.
Yeah. Right, right.
They're looking for any residuals, and especially like those few years before the Empire really kind of like fully builds itself up. Right now, the Empire is like a transition from the Republic. Basically, the Republic. For those who may not have seen Revenge of the Sith. Basically the idea is that the Republic kind of turns into the Empire. It's kind of the idea there. It's the big transitional phase right now. It's basically all the like, hey, let's go for peace, and that hey, we're all wearing black now. What do you know? Right.
Okay, so yeah, and this just this kind of gets things started in terms of really the big thesis of the short, which is kind of the pros and cons of Kenobi watching over the Lars family. And I really, really appreciate that. It is a good moral dilemma for Kenobi, and I don't know. I really just the way that he meditates on it, the way that Jamie Costa plays it with just kind of this quiet reservation, you know,
So
and go ahead.
that's my
Sorry.
favorite thing about the performance. And again, this is like what McGregor was doing with the role as well, and hopefully what he'll continue to do with the role is that there's the transitioning phase the later you get in the Obi-Wan performance where he's becoming Alec Guinness. He's becoming more and more reserved and wise. And I love how you kind of so Costa's doing his own thing with it, but he's also playing the transition very well. He has kind of the you have kind of like the cocky swashbuckler nature that he's going to get into later on when he's in action mode, which again is like kind of the charm factor of Obi-Wan Kenobi we see in like the animated show and of course kind of like in the kind of that Revenge of the Sith, like the hello there, like that whole thing. Exactly. So he's getting there, and again we're getting a
Gee,
little
I
bit of the wisdom.
wonder what our post-credit stinger is going to be, Dragon.
I wonder.
Anyways.
Okay, so the point being, so that Owen is making a very valid argument here. That again, he's not a villain here. Owen is not like a villain saying, "Get out of here, Obi-Wan. You're bringing nothing but trouble."
No, no, no. That's exactly what I like about it. It's very, if anything, I'm on Owen's side.
Because he's making the point that Jedi are going to attract attention, even if they can't connect, him to them. That's going to be essentially it's going to be you. They're going to connect you to that boy, and that's the connection they're afraid that they're going to make. And this all puts us in danger. You're more of a it's more of a threat than anything, and that Owen is basically calling the future. Basically, we have this really great line that Owen says. Owen says he calls it, he calls the future in that you can't avoid the Empire for the rest of your life. So Obi-Wan's just trying to play it cool. He's trying to be on the down low here. He's just trying to live not as a Jedi, just kind of live as kind of like a neighbor on the sidelines, making sure nothing happens to the kid, and just trying to oversee him. Basically being a Padawan without the Jedi training. That's kind of what his goal is right now. He's just trying to overlook the child's development.
Right, right.
And make and it almost that I was kind of read it as well here is that he's also trying to right a wrong, and that Obi-Wan's destiny is always perpetually tied to the Skywalker family, and he failed with the first generation, he failed with the first boy, he doesn't want to fail with the second boy, and I thought that was like a really really great thing that they connected here, and that's why he's really taking Owen's words to heart here, where Obi-Wan, little does he know, he's going to be back in the fight with the Empire once the boy reaches age, and that's going to be his second chance. But Obi-Wan doesn't know that right now, and Obi-Wan, he's sure right now, he's sure they won't find him. And again, that's the youthful Kenobi versus kind of the hermitized Kenobi here, where he thinks, oh no, nothing bad's ever going to happen here. It's everything's going to be fine. I'm going to keep my low profile here. I'm not. He's going to before he goes fully hermitized, as he will with A New Hope. Right now, he's thinking, okay, I can walk the line. Okay, we're going to be all good here, guys. Don't worry, Owen. Relax.
All right, and Dragon, what you just pointed out about the, him wanting to not fail. Honestly, I could see the same thing with Luke in the sequel trilogy, and I think it's just kind of neat. It's like it's one of the like I'm trying to defend parts of the sequel trilogy as much as I can, just because I know that it ended on a bad note with with Rise of Skywalker, but I really love the stuff they did in Last Jedi. So I don't know. I'm just saying the whole Luke failing Kylo Ren, just like Obi-Wan failed Anakin.
Yeah.
It's like poetry. It's like poetry. It rhymes, Draken. It rhymes.
Plinkett reference aside, yes, sure, I think you're right, yes.
All right.
So anyway, so he's kind of taking this to heart and kind of raising the question is raised, is it time to leave? And Obi-Wan just kind of hearing this is like, well, I mean, I don't really know what my next movie. I can't blindly trust in the Force, because the last time we did that, it's kind of led to the present situation. So he's looking at Anakin's lightsaber, and I really love this bit. I will admit, Tiki, on the rewatch, there is a bit of a plot hole I did realize that it's like the only flaw I have with the thing here. So he's looking at Anakin's lightsaber as this reminder, I imagine, of like he's reminded of Anakin and why he's here, why he's looking over the kid, and he's faced with a choice. Do you leave to protect Luke or stay? Darn the consequences. And he decides again, probably thinking of how he failed Anakin. You know what? I'm going to do right, but I'm going to go with what Owen wishes here. He makes a good point. I'm going to leave here. Packs a bag, and he's going out into a sandstorm. And here's a little thing though. With the lightsaber, he's bringing Anakin's lightsaber with him, and throughout this whole thing, we're only going to have one lightsaber. But remember, Obi-Wan still has a lightsaber, and that never comes out during this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know,
Dragon, you know what?
Don't care. I'm just saying.
I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend it just because I really like I really dig the symbolism of Anakin's lightsaber and how it's like the main symbol of the moral conflict within Obi-Wan. And I don't know. I think the whole idea of it is that Obi-Wan is struggling. Obviously, the lightsaber is meant to represent Obi-Wan's failures and like the shadow of the past, if you will, with Anakin. And I feel like the idea of igniting Anakin's lightsaber as the big moment that we do get, and how we build it up. That to me, igniting his lightsaber, specifically Anakin's lightsaber, I feel like that's very symbolic, Dragon. I feel like that has significance on a character arc kind of level. You see what I'm getting at?
I know.
I actually appreciated it.
Tiki, I absolutely hear you. Like it dawned initially, I'm just looking at the symbolism of the lightsaber on the first pass, and the second pass, I realized, that's not only is it just like we already kind of like we're associating with Anakin's lightsaber, given like the big fundamental thing of where it comes from. We store it in a little box, just like it is in A New Hope. The idea when he gives it to Luke, he pulls it out of the box. So that's absolutely that's the huge seminal moment from A New Hope, where he passes on the torch literally from father to son, which is a huge moment. And then, of course, you look at this on the second one. It's like, okay, all the symbolism attached to that. But then we get to the climax. You're wondering, why doesn't Obi-Wan have this lightsaber? And I hear your point. I'm going to go with that, Tegan. And again, even so, it's a little quibble like, where's the other lightsaber? It doesn't matter because it's all about Anakin's lightsaber and what it means. It's just, I hear it. I absolutely hear it. It's one of the points, because it's just something that occurred to me. It's like, why? Yeah, where is that? Yeah, there are two slides. I don't know if it was a budgetary thing, or I'm going to hope it was a story thing entirely. That it's, I mean, the bigger thing I would also connect it to is that Obi-Wan, he's a little out of touch with the Force, and with that he's a little rusty on things, and that's why he hasn't been going for his lightsaber. And he's right now, just to get to the next scene, let me tie it in back to the plot here. So he's going out into the sandstorm. I love the goggles that Obi-Wan's wearing, by the way. Just a little kind of like, if you're in a sandstorm, you're in a desert climb, you want to protect the eyes. It makes sense. He tosses the saber to protect Luke, and again, literally kind of throwing that torch aside again, trying to protect the kid by. There's going to be no, no affiliation with the Jedi path going forward. Like he has no. Obi-Wan just has no idea what the path is going to be in here. It's like he has no expectation that Luke is one day going to find this saber. For all I know, the saber could bring him more pain. So I'm going to toss his father's. The past of his father, I'm going to get rid of this thing. So again, presumably that's why, again, where it's all about him ditching the lightsaber and he has no. He probably hasn't picked his up ever, and he has no intention of that. And just basically, that lightsaber, the fact that it comes back into play in our story is why it gets ignited, presumably. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically, this is like him announcing that life has the life he's committed to now, and that he's lost everything. He tosses that lightsaber, and the symbol of everything. I'm severing the tie from my past failure. I'm just going to go on, live a quiet life, and just kind of like essentially pass away quietly as far as he's concerned, assuming the kid's going to be all right.
But then but before he can do that, Dragon.
Yeah.
Dragon, remember back in the Mandalorian days when I geeked out about the Jawas?
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, I equally geek out about the Sand People, Dragon. I love the Sand People.
I love the Sand People too. I do.
Oh god, it's like the only good moment in Attack of the Clones, Dragon. It's like the only moment in Attack of the Clones that has any merit to it.
To be clear, the slaughter of the Sand People, not the.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say like I do think that the in theory, Dragon, in theory, the scene where Anakin's going on about like the women and the children too. It should be dark. It should be haunting. It's written well. It's written to be like, oh my god, like Anakin's really gone off the deep end. Like, not only has he done this horrible thing, but he's proud of it. So, it's like, I don't know. I still like the context of the Sand People.
No, I hear you. I was thinking more like literally the whole sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Oh no! Of course, no. That has nothing to do with it. That's not in the equation. Yeah.
Okay, so he's interrupted by Sand People kind of popping up here. Essentially, they're trying to rob Obi-Wan of like the little bag that he had of all the possessions and stuff. So he's tossed the lightsaber, importantly, so the Sand People don't get the lightsaber for our plot reasons. So then they interrupt him. So before Obi-Wan is like heading off planet, off world, he's accosted by Sand People. And I love this. I love that. My headcanon, this interaction is how Obi-Wan knows the ways of the Sand People and how he knows how to handle them in Episode 4. Because if he's going to live amongst these guys, he's going to have encounters with them. He's going to know how to scare them off. And like the Sand People frighten easily, but they'll be back in larger numbers soon. That whole thing.
Also, Dragon, one more Sand People moment I want to point out. One of my favorite moments from Phantom Menace is when they attack the pod race.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm in geek out mode right now with the Sand People.
It's just like the biggest geek out thing we do have to mention though. One of the best nods to the Sand. One of the coolest things about the Sand People, at least for me. Just anyway. Okay, so he calls back for the saber. Like the minute he gets it, he is then knocked out and then robbed, and then basically he kind of falls down a ways till he re-enters our story. And of course, after that is done, the Sand People are going as they're doing a little staff bit from A New Hope, which famously and awesomely we learned from Empire Dreams way back when, kind of the best documentary we love about Star Wars. The old. Basically, they looped the footage, and I don't think they did that here. I'm just saying way back when, basically the Sand People was like raising the cane, making a sound effect, and they basically repeated it, so it sounds like a battle call.
Oh god!
So I always love when we bring that back and do nods. That's why I get excited. I always think about that story when the Sand People show up. It's like that, and then of course all the other cool things about the Sand People. They're always cool, man. The Sand People rock.
All right.
Anyway. Okay, so it's morning.
Yeah. And let's see. Dragon, this is.
So we should mention we rarely ever see Tatooine at night, aside from the sunset. So it's really kind of neat, kind of a little choice to see Tatooine at night during all this.
That's a good point. I didn't even really think about it, but yeah, I'm honestly jogging through my memory, and I don't really think, like you said, sunset is about the deepest into the evening that we ever get on Tatooine.
Was Mandalorian, really. It was like that, and I guess technically the slaughter of the Sand People, again, is more of like a sundown sort of thing.
Slaughter of Sand People, yes, and also we saw them having dinner at Shmi Skywalker's house.
Yeah.
But that was more like an interior night.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like interior, or like we're not like in the environment, like in pure pitch black night like this.
Sure.
Second, I mean, the only time I can really think of in modern kind of modern example would be Mandalorian for that shootout episode. That's what I'm saying. Like you rarely like see kind of like full blown Tatooine at night during a sandstorm at the very least. It's neat. It's kind of neat to shake things up a little bit like that. All right.
Uh-huh. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, morning. Dragon, this is the shot that really blew me away.
I know.
All right, like
I know
this tracking shot with the droids, and like at first you see like an old school droid, like kind of like the how would you describe it? Like the tank looking droid.
Yeah, I mean like a little Tonka truck looking little.
Yeah. The Tonka
mouse
truck.
Droid.
Thank you.
Those are called
Thank
mouse
you.
droids.
And you're like, oh, that looks good enough. Like that looks really good, and the camera works good. And then you see the R2 or what the R unit, whatever sort of R unit they have.
Astromech unit, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you. I don't know my Star Wars terminology apparently, but yeah, and man, that droid is just like that. It's so spot on.
And again,
and then of course, sorry, go ahead.
Like with the other Jamie Cuss thing, we had like a red version of C-3PO, so it's tracking, folks. We keep doing the red versions of the iconic droids. Next, we're gonna have a red K2SO. Mark my words.
Or red BB-8.
Yeah, red BB-8's the smarter call. I'm not like the K2SO because I'm thinking of that 3-point space right now. Anyway, yeah.
Right. And of course, I love the flying hovercraft too.
Yeah, the land speeder.
Sort of floating there. Yeah, the land speeder. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you my favorite part of this whole thing is here's the thing I was geeking out most about, and why I'm in love with the kind of the establishing shot here. Once we're like on Owen and Baru's place, it's so breathtaking a recreation. We have the moisture farm it does like a weather vane moisture farmer sort of thing. The big white thing that's sticking out of the ground, which is directly from. It just looks so perfectly matched with A New Hope. It looks perfect. Just every time, we also got to see it way back in Rise of Skywalker, where again we get to see like that. Again, when we go back to the old moisture farm, and it's just seeing that white spire kind of coming out of the ground. It's like your home, man, and it's great.
Oh yeah. So Baru, very much kind of in classic Star Wars pose, Dragon, very heroically, looks and spots a troop transport in the distance.
I hate to cut you off, but you're missing one of the best things of Baru in the whole thing. We do the whole Baru calling Luke, where it's like,
oh
Luke!
yeah, totally.
and again to the young Luke, which is great. It's oh man, I love like Luke. And then the bad news that comes. We see young Luke here. Then we have the spy shove the binoculars here at Baru. Then things start popping here, folks.
Oh yeah. All right, so yeah, stormtroopers. Owen is, of course, like, I knew it. Hide the boy.
This scene's very Rogue One-esque, a little like the opening of Rogue One when we're hiding from the Empire at the start of the movie, hiding a child from the Empire, which is nice, a little Tarantino-esque. One could argue. And so as this is happening, Kenobi comes to.
Yeah, Kenobi comes to in the desert. He wakes up. Goes for the lightsaber. He can't quite get it with the Force. Let's see. He's very discombobulated. He sees the TIE fighters in the distance, Dragon, so he knows what's up. He reaches for the lightsaber, picks it up by hand. TIE fighters fly right past him in a really awesome shot.
I know. My favorite thing is I love that as far as the way it comes out to me is that he hears the TIE fighter sound, wakes him up, and then he sees. And again, he's fated to be reunited with this lightsaber no matter what he does. So that's really great too. Because I mean, he did some. He called the light. Let me put it this way. I think he can do the classic move rocks thing with the Force. I'm not saying he can't do that, but I'm saying he can't get in touch with the Force at least until the climax of things we're going to find here.
Sure.
That whole thing. All right. So so point being TIE fighters and that accused to him. Okay, Lars' family in trouble. Got to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, we got stormtroopers of all brands here, and this is wonderful. We have the speeder bike troopers, again, very much, we have the speeder bike troopers. We have kind of the checkpoint trooper with the orange thing on his shoulder, which is probably one of my favorites. We have a few kind of variety of troopers here. They arrive, basically the rank and file classics, and a few Imperial officers, the imps, if you will, come marching down the hill, and then we have Captain Legis. At least I hope I'm saying that. I don't know if it's Legis or Legis, but I'm just going to... Anyway. Played
Go ahead.
Played by James Arnold Taylor. Tiki, you remember who James Arnold Taylor is, don't you?
Okay, his name sounds incredibly familiar. I'm sure once you tell me who he is, I'll know exactly who he is.
You're gonna
who
love
is he?
this. You're gonna
Oh
love
God.
this. So James
Okay.
Arnold Taylor is he's a great voice actor. He does a number of voices, but of course the big Star Wars related voice that he does, and a lot of people know him for, is Obi-Wan Kenobi from Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Nice. Oh,
again,
God.
did McGregor before anyone, did McGregor better than anyone as before Jamie Costa.
That's amazing. That's freaking amazing. I love
my
that.
Favorite, and of course, this feeds into my favorite moment in the whole thing, which we're going to get to very soon, which is fantastic. Point being, so it's great to see James Arnold Taylor. I mean, since some other performances that he does too, he has a really great Fred Flintstone voice as well. So, point being, James Arnold Taylor, really great voice actor. Okay.
Nice. Oops. All right. So what's up?
All right. So, of course, he's showing up there again. Classic, kind of like kind of the mold of kind of the Weasley Imperial officer, if you will. Like not a classic.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much a Domhnall Gleeson, or like in that same kind of vein.
Yeah, very Domhnall.
I like that he's got. I like that he's got a really unique hairstyle. It's kind of Domhnall Gleeson-esque, but it's also kind of got like an Alan Rickman quality to it with a combed down look.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, he's going there, and I love my favorite thing about James Arnold Taylor's choice for the captain character here is that he has the veil of pleasantries. Like they're not real pleasantries, they're just the veil of pleasantries.
Right.
So, greetings on behalf of the Empire. And of course, we cut. And again, the editing on this is really good. They're keeping the tension up, so Kenobi's like running. There's some money shit.
The editing through this whole thing is so on point, and it very much is. I don't know what to tell you. It just feels like Star Wars, Dragon. It feels like Star Wars. It very much like the way it cuts between Kenobi and the Lars family, and the tension building between the two storylines. It's very on point.
Absolutely, and of course, like the money shots of him running through kind of these very Tunisia looking canyons. Essentially, it's like these giant like rock formations. Him running up the hills and everything looks, I imagine, not easy, but it looks great.
Right.
I hope Costa had a stunt double. Otherwise, he's not getting paid enough anyway. So, okay, so we have the Kenobi running shots. Then we have like the tense, very Gestapo-esque kind of sequence going on here. So, Legis enters, and he says, "It's just the two of you on a farm like this, all alone. Seems a bit much." That's what I'm saying. Like the snide veil of pleasantries, where it sounds like he's trying to say, "Oh, the two of you on a little farm alone." That's
isn't that cute? Just a mom and pop business.
That's what I'm saying. That seems a bit much. I think he's like the veil of pleasantries. I want to talk about the Empire here for a second, because here's the thing I love in the kind of the course of all the trilogies and everything we have now, the multiple kind of film trilogies of Star Wars, is that when referring to the First Order, I love thinking back to we have the Empire, which essentially is an empire that, of course, a lot of Nazi-esque imagery and, of course, association we make in connecting the Empire and kind of analyzing it in the whole mythological kind of set piece that Star Wars is, kind of making the connections through history and all that sort of stuff. And, of course, the thing with the Empire is that they don't see themselves, like the actual Nazis, they didn't see themselves as the bad guys. They saw themselves as, we're restoring order to the galaxy. That's what we're doing. And of course, not realizing we're very dictator-like. Where the First Order is like, they're even worse, because they're trying to emulate, they're like the propaganda Nazis of the galaxy. We're like, no, we're like what the U.S., just imagine blanket all Nazis as. Like, we're all like the shouty guys, give them the rallies and everything, We're
the shouty guys, indeed.
Yeah, we're the shouty guys, as well as, beyond that, it's just more like, we're all about, like, show of force. Like, again, where the Empire is like, well, we want to keep things in order, we want to know who comes, who goes, all that sort of stuff. Basically, they're bureaucrats with murder when things don't go their way, where the First Order is like, murder, then we're going to get all bureaucratic. That's the difference, where they're emulating something just because they're trying to emulate history, but really it's like, it's kind of hate-mongering because that's our bloodline, not because it's a necessity. That's the difference between the Empire and the First Order. That's kind of found really interesting when you look at kind of things, the way they've kind of progressed. Anyway, So Legis here. So Legis, he's these greetings on behalf of the Empire, all that sort of stuff, and basically, Owen is getting down the brass tacks because he doesn't like these guys here. And the longer they're here, the more risk they're going to find the boy, which again is what they're afraid of. They're going to find the boy, maybe discover he's got midichlorians or whatnot, that he's force sensitive, that he of course find out who his father is. Terrible things could happen if they do a deep dive on this kid. So he's asking, what is this, a census? You never done that sort of thing before. And Legis here is saying, it's for your own protection, I assure you. And again, that's the Empire. They think
I
they're
love
helping.
that. Yeah.
It's their own diluted way of helping, where really it's about, we're going to control what everyone does.
We're quote unquote protecting you.
Yes. It's important to know who's coming and going.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the story of the Imperial control and snuffing out, and also an excuse to snuff out the remaining Jedis. That's probably what the actual census is right now. It's they're sweeping the galaxy looking for any remaining Jedis, as I kind of said earlier. Then Owen says the big line here. I love this. He says, "We don't need an emperor out here. We're doing fine. Careful." Again, because they really love the emperor.
Careful. I like that. Careful. Yeah.
It's like the one really cool thing when you look at Star Wars, not knowing how far they were going to go in the trilogy of it all. Again, when we name drop the Emperor in like this stage of things, it's really cool. I don't know, it's just like, we didn't even know there was an Emperor way back when New Hope comes out. I think it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we don't need your protection. Of course you don't, until you do. Eventually, galactic oops insurance. Tiki, how does that go?
Oops.
So
yeah, you're right. It is very much oops insurance.
So a trooper's doing a little search of the land speeder, and Tiki, what does he find?
He finds a child dragon. No, not Baby Yoda.
That comes later. Yeah. Anyways, of course, if you found Baby Yoda and you threatened that Baby Yoda, someone's gonna beat the crap out of the stormtroopers. I've seen it happen, folks. It ain't a myth. Okay, so. Of course, again, love the episode 4 setup here, where again that stormtrooper kind of like accosting Luke in the speeder, which will happen 20 years, a little less than 20 years later. Just really, a little snake eating the tail, nice. So they're asking about the child, like, I thought it was just the two of you, and of course Baru's like pleading for deal, like, don't shoot him, he's just a child. And I love that we're mounting up the tension. This is really good filmmaking. We're mounting up the tension, and like. And of course, the bureaucrats bureaucrats kind of classic kind of Nazi-esque kind of empire we do have here is that they're very pro, like, let's see his identification. We want the documentation. I want the identification on this kid. And of course, then we have the big moment here where the big Alec Guinness moment here where he shows up. You don't need to see their identification. And then we have my favorite moment.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably everyone's favorite moment, Dragon. It's fan service, but it's good fan service. And in the words of Kevin Smith, I'm a fan and I was served.
No, here's why it's my favorite moment. So he says, hello there. And then, of course, we have
hello there.
Where then James Arnold Taylor, who also has played Obi-Wan, says, hello there. See, that's what cracks like the double hello there by two Obi-Wans.
Sure.
But the real Obi-Wan saying hello there, but all snipe. That's why it's my favorite one. Anyway, so point being, we have Obi-Wan trying to ease the situation, trying to charm him, trying to maybe do a little kind of force magic that unfortunately is a little out of touch with.
Mm-hmm.
So Costa's turning up the Kenobi charm like there's no tomorrow. Oh my goodness, Costa, he's just challenging it. He's channeling it so well here.
Yeah.
Cover stories like, I'm the boy's uncle. I'm sorry, you want to take us through kind of the Obi-Wan?
Yeah. No, sure. He says, yeah, I'm the boy's uncle. He's getting too big for me to keep up with these days. Let's see. And then, of course, our Imperial officer here, he really doesn't believe it. He's like, not likely. Where are you from? Oh, we're just passing through. You're very good at avoiding questions. Search him. All right. Bad news.
Okay, before we get to that bad news, also, I love, again, just really great dialogue throughout all this thing here. It says, ran off of me now, and it says, his parents? Dead, I'm afraid. And again, just knowing what Obi-Wan knows, again, he's using the truth to cover up the lie here, Rob.
Yes.
Are dead. And again, you see, Obi-Wan kind of confronting his own failure in that moment there. for some time now. And again, been a couple of years, and of course the kid growing up without his parents, and he feels a little guilty about that. That he feels like maybe could have prevented it had he been a better teacher. Of course, I know you from somewhere. Not likely. And then, of course, and again, they're very mirroring each other, so kind of a little meta contextual. They're both kind of Kenobi so it's like they're mirroring the dialogue. Not likely, followed by the they're not likely at all here. So they're searching, and what do they find, Tiki?
They find the lightsaber.
I won that in a Pazic. In a Pazic game. We have the snide response.
Not likely.
Again, it's mirroring each other, but that's great. So then Obi-Wan attempts the mind trick. You can go about your business. We're of no concern to you. Come again, and now we have the tension being ratcheted up here.
The tension here is off the charts, and I love it.
And again, Kenobi's force rusty because he's kind of doubting it. Again, the whole do or do not. That the old Yoda teachings. I don't believe this. That is why you fail. If you don't believe in the force, it ain't gonna work for you, kids. Mm-hmm. It says not. And basically it's two things. One, he's a little force rusty, and two, remember the Jedi mind trick doesn't work. Usually only works on the weak-willed mind, and this guy, he's kind of clever. So it's probably not going to work with this guy. So exactly. Obi-Wan's out of luck. Exactly. Even if he wasn't rusty, it still probably wouldn't work. So they're of no concern. Of course, we're interrupted by blast, bam, and who fired that blast?
Owen.
Yeah, really was Owen, man. Owen taking charge.
That's what I'm talking about, man. This is the kind of Owen that we should have seen in the prequels.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Obi-Wan now he's using kind of the average force. So he can use kind of pushing people back, trying to knock them around, knock him back, trying to get him like disarmed a little bit there. He tries to retrieve the saber, but as it is going back to his hand, just to show you how rusty he is, as it's going back, Legis, who's been shot but not dead, importantly, Legis, he catches it, and again the other Obi-Wan catches the lightsaber and says, Jedi!
Yeah.
Just so ticked off. Jedi!
Big tension happens, Dragon. We cannot have them call in that. We need to get them all out.
Because if that happens, the word's out on who they are, who Luke is, and then we have no Star Wars. If that call goes through, or if there's a follow-up, they're goners. So Obi-Wan, as he's being held back and trying to fight off the stream, he's telling Owen, don't let him call it in! Then we have a firefight going on here. It's like he's trying to shoot the little communicator here. A trooper is trying to flee on a speeder bike to again go manually get some backup.
Oh, this is one of my favorite effects in this whole thing is the speeder bike being forced down by Obi-Wan. I don't know how else to put it.
No, he's been held back by the Force. And Tiki, you know me. One of my favorite, my long fan wish list for Star Wars. I think I've always wanted to see my bucket list thing for Star Wars that we got a little bit of a taste of in Rise of Skywalker. I've always wanted to see someone hold the whole ship back with the Force, and we kind of got that. Turned a little lightning-y, but still we got it in that movie. I was still wishing someone enough. Like, oh god, they held back the whole ship, and I think that's awesome. We kind of did it here with the speeder bike, which is also really cool. And Obi-Wan holding it back.
The fact that we're doing it in a fan film and it looks awesome. It looks totally legitimate, just as good as I imagine it would look in a Hollywood movie.
Doesn't, of course, the effect of the sand going up because that's so cool. So let's see. So the shootout continues. Owen is then hit by Legis. Man, that guy's a real prick, that Legis. So Owen's now hit. But again, to be fair, Owen shot him first, so I guess he's kind of getting even. Anyway, the point being, yep, Owen shot. Put on the T-shirt, guys. So so the troopers try. Let's see. So as much as the troopers, they're trying to pry Obi-Wan off. They're trying to drag Kenobi away here. Beru now has the blaster, and she's shooting a few of the stormtroopers. One of them gives the old Wilhelm scream. It's not Star Wars without a Wilhelm scream.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. Kenobi frees himself. He grabs the saber, but from Legis. But as he does that, Legis, a little dirty pull here. Legis blinds him with sand. And Tiki, what have we learned about sand?
It's rough and coarse and irritable, and it gets everywhere.
including your eyes, and that blinds. Unfortunately, that temporarily blinds
I
Obi-Wan at
just
the.
realized that, Dragon. Is that a pool? That must be a pool. That must be a freaking sand pool.
Gotta be.
Because, yeah, you're right. It is rough and coarse and irritable.
Yep, irritating. It's everywhere. I mean, you don't have to when you kind of have to, don't you?
Oh, dear.
All right. So Obi-Wan is blinded here. He's in trouble, and again, all this chaos going on here. And again, he's like the most powerful kind of guy they have right now. And Baru is just trying to hold down the fort, but you can't do that for long. Luke runs to Owen, so the whole Lars family is kind of like they're all cowering together, and they're not doing well. So big moment of truth here. So again, Obi-Wan's been really force rusty, and we've seen that. I mean, the biggest feat that he's been able, again, progressively throughout the fight, he's getting a little bit more and more in touch with the force. You'll notice because he's holding back the speeder bike, but now he can't just use the old moving the rock trick. He can't use that. He can't just use I can move things with with the force. He takes a breath. And he takes a breath, and then he focuses, and he's now one with the force. Okay, he's on the right path yet again. He turns the saber on. I love that we build up to the saber being turned on. He's finally turned it on. Turns it on.
And that's what I'm saying, Dragon. That's exactly why why I like the fact that Anakin's lightsaber in particular is the focal point here. Go ahead, though. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. So he's surrounded by troopers. They're about to open fire. Like Obi-Wan's a dead man if he does not make peace with his demons. And again, as you said, kind of through kind of the symbol that is Anakin. Of course, in front of Luke also, which again, it's kind of like a little kind of honor to the father, passed from father to son, symbolically, one could argue. So turns the saber on, and the blast comes in. He deflects the blast. I love the score in this moment. The score it swells in this moment. And also it's kind of like it's pretty much what we've done here so cleverly. It's the lesson with the ball from episode 4. I believe it's the hunter. I think it's the hunter ball. I think it's what they call it. Anyway, little ball that Luke is kind of deflecting the blast with when he can't.
Yeah.
Of course, fits in the whole targeting computers moment at the end of New Hope. So that's essentially what we're doing here. Obi-Wan is being put through his paces, and again in front of Luke, who's going to have to learn the same trick himself. It's so beautiful. So he's deflecting the blast back at the stormtroopers with each kind of swinging the lightsaber while he can't see. Again, trusting in the Force to do this. He then impales Legis.
That's an awesome shot too, by the way. Just the lightsaber just going through him, just at just the right point.
Yeah. And so then we have kind of the aftermath of the battle here, kind of the big hero cowboy moment for Obi-Wan. Is everyone all
and this is the big thesis, Dragon. This is the big this is why they need Obi-Wan there. It's like it might be a risk, but Obi-Wan is worth the risk.
Certainly. So everyone's Owen's been hit, but we're okay collectively. And then he asks Luke if he's all right. And Luke, I love that Luke does not have a line of dialogue through any of it. He gives a silent nod, but importantly is the big symbolic moment. The kid eyes the lightsaber. And, the kid eyes the lightsaber, then Owen and Kenobi kind of share this look of thanks, Ben, thank you. That whole little moment there, just like, I was wrong, you were right. We have a middle ground here, and we're here for the kid. And just, again, Luke eyeing that lightsaber being the whole, as Obi-Wan's kind of found out through the course of the events here, and kind of re-tapping back into the Force, kind of getting back on the path here, I gotta be here. I don't know what my path is necessarily. All I know is I'm still going to be tied to the Skywalker family. Doing a second bite at the apple. I'm not going to force anything on him because that may have been my mistake with the first generation. I'm just going to if he comes to the Force, I'll be there for him. If not, I'll make sure nothing bad happens to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, stuff.
Just may the Force be with you. It says, may the Force be with you. And he goes off there, and before he kind of makes the hero's exit, Ben, again, to protect the Lars family and to kind of make sure, we're not going to not have a Star Wars, Ben goes to one of the stormtroopers. And just to show you how progressively in tune he gets with the Force, he actually makes his trick work here. He mind tricks a surviving stormtrooper. Instructs him to report back to his men that they got into a fight with the Sand People. The records are up to date. There's no interest here. Move along. And of course, he repeats it.
Move along.
Yep, move along. Goes off. You don't need your blaster. I don't need my blaster. And
I
then,
don't
of
need
course,
my blaster.
money shot of the astromech because why not? Because it looks cool. And then the Lars family is off in the speeder. They didn't need to show that, but they did. And it's also, again, we're putting the money in where it needs to go, folks. It looks great. Then, full circle moment here, Tiki.
Oh yeah.
Kenobi. He cleans Anakin's lightsaber with pride, and he returns it to the box. The box that will not be opened until A New Hope, and for him to pass it on to the next boy from Tatooine, which is something. To that boy from Tatooine, is going to give him that lightsaber. Is going to start the journey, which is going to save the galaxy, and it's going to go on. It's going to be all sweet and make it all warm and fuzzy. And it's going to be great.
It's like poetry, Dragon.
Yes.
All right, so there you have it. All right, final thoughts from me, Dragon. I kind of love this thing. I honestly think it's a little bit of a step above the Solo one, just because A, the production values are just top notch, and B, while the Solo one was, I feel like everyone's dreamed of what a solo adventure would be like, and it's pretty easy to put the pieces together, and that's what that's what the Solo fan film gives us, is a pretty straightforward adaptation of what it would be like. But what I appreciate about this in particular is, like I said, like the deeper connections, the Lars family being involved, all the symbolism, the way it's edited. I just think in general the Solo one is a really good fan film in its own right, with a standout performance. But this altogether is just the whole package, man. It really feels like Star Wars. It lives and breathes Star Wars, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. Final thoughts for me. This is again, it's a taste at the long desired Kenobi story and kind of that 3.5 era Star Wars that I'm absolutely pleased with. It's less. Here's the interesting thing about this, though. I love that it's less Kenobi as the Western hero outsider that we're still kind of pulling for. I'm still sure we're going to get at least a taste of that. Hopefully, we're going to get more of that within the show that they're eventually going to do. But it's a little less a story of like a Western hero outsider in a small town, but it's Obi-Wan making a transition and unsure of his next steps, which is a really logical place to start that story with him, because it gives him like a logical aftermath and a logical character arc, which I'm really in love with kind of the story of this piece. Basically, as you kind of hinted at, Smuggler's Run, which again, it's done by different people. Jamie Costa being kind of the main connect there, but here's the thing: they're both excellent. However, Smuggler's Trade is a little bit more. So I don't want to just say fan service, but I mean, it's good fan service if it is.
Yeah.
But it's more of just like, it's just kind of, it's fun. It's everything kind of what we expect traditionally from a fan film, where we have like a lot of stuff in there. Again, we've remarkably recreated kind of a young Harrison Ford, and we get in kind of a story that is it's a straightforward story in that one. Okay, Han Solo is playing some cards. He's trying to save Chewie, and we have some kind of extra little Star Wars nuggets in there, like your Jawas and etc. A little bit of that, and that's checking the boxes, and it's fun. This does have a little bit more substance to it. It's again, it's kind of like you're reading into the Kenobi character. We're kind of adding some layers to him there, and of course we have kind of the warm and fuzzies with him kind of looking after young Luke, which is great. Again, it's like all the hallmarks you want within the Kenobi story, and kind of this. The short gets to the heart of what I want to see from the intermediate years of Kenobi from Sith to New Hope here, where it's Kenobi's seeking redemption and watching over the next generation, or in quotes here, the New Hope.
Nice,
and again,
well
as
said.
we said already, Jamie Costa, he continues to be seamless. The man's not human, because the man's just like, he's like a human Xerox machine, man. You put a photo in, you're gonna get a recreation out the other side. It's gonna be flawless. So like Smuggler's Trade, this is a step in the Star Wars, and I couldn't be happier. Like the things that Jamie Costa has been involved with Star Wars are absolutely what we need Star Wars to be. Like this and that the Darth Vader thing we talked about last time, the Shards of the Past. I believe Star Wars Theory had done the channel Star Wars Theory had done that short film. a part of a series that's still facing in production stuff. But again, it's these are the next level Star Wars films we need to see going forward. These bunch of Star Wars films, like we're getting better and better as the years go on, because people are the kids are growing up, so to speak. The kids are growing up. They're knowing the tricks of the trade, because they're as obsessed with it as the rest of the fans are, and they're really putting the elbow grease to it. And it's just something to. It's just absolutely remarkable. It's great. As was this.
All right, Dragon. I guess that's about it. So, yeah, happy May the 4th, everyone. Hope you all had a good one. Maybe rewatching Star Wars on Disney Plus or something. I hear Clone Wars is getting pretty good, Dragon, right?
Yes. And what they're going to do actually today, for May the 4th, they finished up the season. So instead of waiting until Friday, they're going to do the last episode. So Clone Wars ends on this May the 4th with the 12th episode.
Oh, really? Oh, that's actually kind of awesome.
So that's what I'm saying.
That.
So while we have that, we're going to have the Mandalorian. We have the Mandalorian. The Mando behind the scenes series that they're
right. That's one thing we'll be doing. I was trying to think of some sort of Star Wars content we'll be doing in the next month.
I mean, traditionally, what I always do is I always watch Empire of Dreams on May the 4th. Beyond that, I might some Plinkett stuff. I'm gonna see what I can do, like kind of supplementally with May the 4th. But absolutely,
man, I can always marathon Plinkett, man. That's so easy to do. That's like my nightly routine.
That's what I'm saying. So, folks, I mean, of course, in the streets is Tiki. And whenever something big in Star Wars really happens, you just go into the street, and hopefully we're going to get back to this soon if we're not already here. We're going to go. You can just spot a man, just shake his hand, like Star Wars. It's kind of
Star Wars,
exchanging victory and pleasantries without even specifying, just saying Star Wars. It's that kind of unifying a thing, just the love for Star Wars, and just after all these years, all the different generations of fans, 3 different trilogies, anthology stuff, Mandos, it's nonstop. It's great.
All right. Well, May the 4th be with you, folks. Have a good night. See y'all later.
Hello there.
Hello there. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Sand gets everywhere.
It's rough and coarse and irritable.